Like, come on. It's not showing on my. There go.
You're on.
Step in the box, baseball fans. Welcome back to another episode of Batter Up with Brett and John on this Friday night. What is up, John?
I'm doing well. I had to wake you up, which is why we're a few minutes late. We need to go through our pre-show routine, make sure we were clear on all of our agenda items. Before we get into the meat of the show, one thing I want to lead off with, if you are an Indiana Fever fan, if you're a Caitlin Clark fan, they're playing their first preseason game where Caitlin Clark is playing for the Indiana Fever now tonight against the Dallas King. I want to say the Dallas Kings, maybe. I forget what their team name is. But anyway, pretty excited to see what happens there. So far, she seems really, really good for the city. Been a lot of media, a lot of places she showed up throughout town, a lot of TV appearances. They're probably just getting started. So we got an exciting show. 5 minutes late. That's okay. And yeah, Brett, take us away.
Here we are. We're on the verge of Bowman 2024. I got some blaster box coming. They're supposed to be here tomorrow. So,
oh, wow.
They're supposed to be. They ship from Walmart.com, so I figured I'd get some early, but I'm going to open some. I knew I'd open some. I'm not that all excited about Bowman 2024. It doesn't seem like there's a big hype train behind it. I saw on Fanatics today they released a link. I think it was, what was it, $270 on
$270,
the $269.99?
You got to enter a drop, which seems weird.
Makes no sense.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to chase that. No way.
I believe it's still overpriced at $270 in my opinion. But this is what Fanatics' new game is. Release stuff, make it look like it's limited, get you to buy it early, and then a year later, if it's not super hot. I mean, 2023 Bowman, we talked about this the last time we were on. 2023 Bowman is a pretty good product. You could still find it for $240 a box.
Yeah. I think it's hard, though, because there's really not anybody in the league right now that was in that product. And even if you look at 2022 Bowman, which has two guys in there that are, I don't want to say lighting a fire under the ball, but Ellie De La Cruz and Jackson Chourio playing pretty well. And that product keeps going down in price, which makes no sense. As much as that has been ripped and graded and everything, even with guys playing really, really well and 80-some first Bowmans in there, it still has struggled to get above a certain value. And that does tell you a lot about where this market and industry is headed. I wasn't going to call it a hobby. We'll get into that in a little bit. But for some of us, it is a hobby. But for some, it's an industry. And that industry has a lot of inertia behind it. But anyway, I don't want to steal the thunder. We'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, I like the design of the Bowman this year. I think it looks good. Of the pictures I've seen, I'm excited to see it ripped. You know the breakers are going to be going crazy next week when it comes out. There's going to be a ton of it ripped. And Bowman's always awesome, no matter what, each year. I mean, you never know what's going to happen with Bowman. It could be a total dud, and it could go to the moon if somebody just comes out like gangbusters. But, I mean, it doesn't seem like too many people are just crazy about it right now.
I don't think I'm going to buy any of it. I think I'm going to skip it altogether. I know that's probably bad for business, bad for the channel. I don't particularly care. I was out on Bowman last year. I didn't buy any of it. I didn't open any of it. I don't have any of it. And I didn't miss it. I'm going to do the same thing this year. I didn't see an odds sheet pushed onto the website yet, which I was going to see if they made more of it than they did last year, which I'm sure they did. They'll never what do you think the odds? And I know we're talking about odds here. What do you think the odds in the next 10 years we ever see a single year where the print run goes down? You put the over under of that at 0? I think it's never going to go down again. They're just going to continue to print more and more and more, invent more parallels, invent more reasons for you to chase the product because that's good for their business. And then all it's going to really do is dilute the market of, there's only so much money in the hobby. The hobbyists, the people that open it as a hobby, not as a business. And I just think for the vast majority of us, it's going to be hard for us to stay in the current releases with the prices they want to get, unless you juice it like nobody's business. They put the anime type inserts in here, numbered to 5. You put more product juice in there that has less to do with the Bowman than it did anything else. And so I'm really, really convinced that that certain products, I don't care to not take a hard stance. I'm going to take a hard stance, and I'm just going to stay away from them.
Yeah, I knew I was going to open a little bit of Bowman. So when I saw I could get it early, and again, I hope it comes early. The show's shipped. The show's arriving tomorrow, so we'll see. You never know till it gets here. But I have a buddy that I work with who he hasn't opened cards. I mean, very little cards. Me and him, I work with him, and every Friday he used to go to Walmart or Jim and Steve's in Waukegan, and he would buy, like a blaster box or maybe a hobby box. And we talk about how good of pulls used to come out of retail today at work. Because I'm like, hey, man, Bowman's coming out. He's like, man, you remember when we used to go 17, 18, even 19 is probably the last year really open, and you would go get a blaster box. He's like, you'd get a sticker autograph in almost like literally every other box. And that isn't the case now. I bet you, I'm wondering, I ordered 12 blasters.
Wow.
And I'm kind of wondering if you even pull one autograph in 12 now. We'll see.
I bet you get 2.
That would be,
I think it's probably 1 in 9, but you might get 2.
Yeah. If you get 2 autographs, especially if they're chrome, that's kind of right in the middle between a hobby box and a jumbo, on odds.
Right. But I wish we would have seen the odds put on the website. I did look for it multiple times. I didn't see it yet. So it's possible it comes out soon. I just think you're going to see blaster boxes be about 35 to 40% hit rate, maybe less. And you're going to see hobby boxes probably have regular hobby, maybe 2 parallels, 3 parallels, including your auto. And jumbo is probably 5 or 6, and that's about it. And like K-Card said, a lot of people are buying singles now. They want to buy singles, which is creating a major inventory problem. If everybody had the same idea, then then we're not going to have much to buy. And the thing is, I think with a lot of it, you can be extremely patient. Many of these guys, I wouldn't buy the guys that are hot anyway right off the bat. I'd let other people do that and chase the product. And then a year or 2 later, when everybody's forgotten about Drew Jones, for example, you can get him for dirt cheap. Yeah. And then you're speculating on him. Then you can grade like crazy and be ready if he hits the majors by the time he's 21, 22. Yep. You just never know.
I hear you. Bowman's one of those things. It's prospecting and it's boom or bust. Depends on one dude. But basically, it just takes one monster dude. But it's the cycle every year, and it'll be fun to watch it come out. But I'm not going to open a ton of it this year. We'll be on Black Friday. We'll be able to buy blaster box cases for $22.50 a box. I would almost guarantee you.
Yeah, you're going to see it. You're going to see it pretty low in price. Again, I think it'll be, like you said, $22 to $24 a box. Pretty confident in saying that. they've made enough of it where that's going to be the case.
Yep. Hey, before I forget, I want to give a big shout out to Jim and Steve's in Waukegan, Illinois. 43rd year they've been open with a brick and mortar hobby shop, sports cards. It's pretty incredible, really.
That is. Did they get to go to the industry conference or no?
You know what? I didn't see anything out of Steve and I don't know if they went.
Would they have had to get an invite, or would they have been able to go?
I would guarantee you they got an invite.
Okay, because I would guarantee with the pulling of the LeBron 1-of-1 in that shop and being there for 43 years and not being a quote unquote dead shop that the Fanatics would want to do away with, I would hope that they got an invite, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got an invite, but I just want to give a shout out because, you know, that's a lot of years, and some of those years weren't pretty for the hobby either. Like, but they made up for it during the pandemic. I remember Steve, they had to close. They had to like actually close their Beckett store because during the pandemic, because they were getting so many orders, they couldn't keep up with them.
That's crazy.
It was nuts.
If we ever see those times again, you better believe I am selling everything I have.
Exactly. You'd be smart
with no
too.
reservations at all. And everybody else should do the same. Maybe you won't. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a schlub with barely any subscribers.
Hey, one product
added zero in the last 2 months. 2 months running now, added zero, by the way.
Oh,
really doing well.
The goose egg.
Totally goose egg for the last 2 months running, and I'm not going to go there.
Well, I tell you what, the one product that got a lot of views to my channel, which is so weird, the last week was those select blaster boxes and the select basketball mega boxes. A ton of people tuned into those, and take it for what it's worth. But Sky B, I watched his video last night. He opened megas, and he gave select retail a 10 out of 10 this year. Now, I'm not going to go that far, but I think that select basketball is a really fun product. First of all, you got the Wemby search, which is just fun to begin with, but there's some number hits in that. You know, in past, man, Panini has gotten to the point where you couldn't hit any numbered stuff, and now you're getting a chance to hit quite a bit, really.
Yeah. No, I opened 2 last night. I opened one on my channel that literally nobody watched. I think it had 24 views the last time I checked. It'll probably have 35 by tomorrow afternoon. Maybe 30. I don't know. We'll see. But if you want to see me pull a really cool numbered card with color match, team color match, numbered match for the jersey, and it was a rookie, and it was an ice, and it was courtside, you can watch the video, but you don't have to. And the other thing I pulled was a green Wemby out of it as well. Pretty happy with that, but hell, nobody will watch it. So I'm just going to keep beating that dead horse until I tell you, man, I don't understand it. Maybe everybody hates me. I don't know. They must hate ERB. They don't know what the hell it means. 2 months running, zero new subscribers. Very, very humbling. Thank you for that. That's why we do Batter Up on Brett's channel, because it brings in the people. It really does.
Well, you know what people do watch is Trevor Bauer's channel, and he set a record in the Mexican League this last week. His most recent vlog is pretty amazing. Keno from the Reds, who used to play for the Reds, now plays on his same team, had one heck of a game. Bauer has 14 strikeouts on Sunday, matching a Mexican League record with 9 strikeouts in a row. And I forgot who the catcher's name is on there, but the catcher and Bauer were talking about, like, you know, Bauer just came from Japan where it's loud and crazy. And I didn't realize how many people went to Mexican games. Like I've never seen a Mexican League game, and their uniforms are like NASCAR stuff. They got
Oh,
stuff
they got like sponsors all over them.
Yeah, they're all over the place on their pant legs and everything, and it was really cool. And man, Bauer just carved them up. That was a great 30-minute vlog that he had. It was that's if you get a chance to go to Trevor Bauer's channel and watch that, it was really good. So I just thought I'd bring that to light because it was interesting because the catcher and Bauer were talking in the dugout about the excitement of the game down there. They're like, this is like a playoff game every game. They're like during the playoffs or during the MLB game, you have where people go crazy for a little bit and then it's really quiet. And it was nuts the whole time. It was cool to watch though.
The thing I always think of when I hear about the Mexican League, we were talking about this backstage, the movie Major League, when the catcher, Jake Taylor, gets the call and he's down in Mexico and he was talking, I think he was playing in Mexico or something at the time, and he's telling the manager, is this some kind of joke? You want me to actually play in the major leagues again? Maybe Trevor Bauer will get that call, that very call from the Cleveland Guardians. Maybe.
Dude, it just makes no sense to me that he is not on a team. It just makes no sense. I know his past. Everybody says all his past, blah, blah, blah. There are no charges. Everything's been dropped by it's been proven that he's not guilty, and he still isn't getting a shot. It blows my mind, especially that he's really freaking good, and that the MLB has an issue with pitchers getting hurt. And there isn't one team that he wouldn't start for. He's good enough to be a number 1 or number 2 on most teams.
Right.
And how he's willing to play for the league minimum. It's crazy to me.
It is crazy. I think that, most major league teams have their tails between their legs. They don't want the mob to come for them and talk about women's rights and all. I'm not going to get political or anything like that, but I think the players union in the major leagues, whether he's still in the players union, represented by them, they're really weak. They are really weak.
Really weak.
And it's really sad to see that you for a fact if he was in the NFL and he was that good, he'd be playing on Sundays. He would. Michael Vick went to prison for dogfighting.
Yep.
And he played several years after that. They gave him a second chance. And nobody did anything but support the guy because he paid his debt. Trevor Bauer really I don't even know what he did wrong. Besides be in the wrong place at the wrong time and make a bad decision. But he did.
This morning, I think it was this morning, it was like Zach Prescott. There was some news about him from a while back. Again, if Bauer was an NFL player, he'd be playing. If this was NBA, he'd be playing. If this was UFC, he'd be fighting. I can't think of another sport he wouldn't be back participating in. And here it is. Here's Dak Prescott files lawsuit against woman who accused him of sexual assault. At no point did Zach Prescott even get considered missing again. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. He would never. It was a non-issue. And then if somebody, it's just the Major League Baseball has the worst players association when it comes to the players and their, I don't want to say rights, but their right to a due process. They have none. And it's just really sad to see.
Yeah. Another thing that's really sad, Mike Trout getting hurt, man.
Yeah, a lot of chatter about that this week. A lot of people talking about it. I tell you what, if you were a big owner of a trout collection, and you remember the guy from the Midwest Wisconsin Dells show, that was on your channel way back years ago. Go watch that video if you still have it up. It's really cool.
He should
He
have sold those.
he should have sold all of those. He's devalued that case by at least 80%.
Yep.
It's astonishing. He was puffing his chest out how great it was that he had that many trouts. He's like, I just kept buying and buying and buying and buying and buying. Well, I hope you sold some, because you watch that speculative value go down and down and down, and probably now down again.
They will never get to the prices they were at. I'll tell you that. I still think with Trout, there's still going to be value to a lot of his, especially some of the more rare ones. You know, because I still think he's going to the Hall of Fame no matter what happens. Just
Sure.
for his stats, you know.
Sure, but I think he's going to be more of a Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
by the time all is said and done than a best player of all time.
Yeah, it's too bad. He just can't stay on the field. Man, what a start to the year. And then torn meniscus, and you move on, and he'll be back. The good thing about a meniscus, he'll be back. Those procedures for meniscus now, especially being a baseball player, he'll bounce back. But here goes another season where he's gonna miss. You know,
he's gonna miss at least 2 months.
Yeah, he's gonna miss a lot of time, and it is a bummer. I was really that sucked to see because he's playing so well.
K-Cards had a really interesting point there on the pitch clock and how that might have affected pitcher injuries. Actually, I didn't really think about that, but I suppose you could put some metrics together when it comes to the pitchers that pitch with a high cadence in this pitch clock, and whether those type of games have seen more pitchers get injured. I think the other thing is pitch counts. They've always tried to manage pitch counts, but you might be onto something with the pitch clock and pitching just too rapidly. Because if you throw it to the plate every 13 seconds or whatever it ends up being, if it was every minute before, I mean, I don't know if you're the swelling in your arm or whatever when you're doing 100 pitches, it needs to go down, and there's not a whole lot of time there, but that's got to matter a little bit, especially like in between innings as well. When usually you go to the dugout, maybe you ice your arm, maybe you heat your arm, doing whatever. That's got to matter a lot.
Yeah, I have about that. One, I'm surprised there's not more money spent to look at why this is happening to MLB pitchers, because if you add the amount of money up each year that is spent towards pitching for the MLB, it's a crazy amount of money. I mean, it's a lot of money. And dudes are getting hurt. But I also think that there's no doubt, I think the pitch clock has part of that. But also, I believe a big part of it is the way that pitchers are going about pitching now. It is no longer about any finesse at all anymore. Guys are going max balls to the wall on every pitch, and it's violent. And even Trevor Bauer talks about, like, a lot of guys are not in the proper sequence with their motions, and it's putting high stress on shoulders, elbows, and they're breaking down, man, because these dudes, it is all about velocity now. You know, if you're not throwing hard and you're not getting spin rate, you're not. There's so much data for these guys to look at, and all the MLB's teams have that data, and they look at it, and dude, your career's on the line, and dudes are going out there and just, I mean, they are letting it rip. And I'm sorry, the human body is not made for that. You know,
now, I think somebody made a sports science talking one time about how, as Major League Baseball, with the weight of the baseball and the distance to home plate and the velocity that you want to throw with, what's the maximum velocity that the human arm can actually take? And I think it wasn't that much more than some of the guys that are throwing like 104. It's not that much higher where it breaks down and it will fail. And that's just a sad fact when you have tendons that can only get so big and you've got muscles that are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger, and you've got motion that's, you're really the art of the pitching motion. I mean, there's a lot of whip involved in that to get the velocity, and that's a violent motion for some people.
I mean, just as a catcher, so-called catcher, Division III high school catcher, just when you watch MLB games now, like, you can see the effort exerted from every pitcher. There's like, look at a pitcher like John Smoltz. When John Smoltz was on the mound, this dude was good. It never looked like he was just uncomfortable and going, straining his face and his body. And it just looked like easy effort out there. Even like Nolan Ryan, there's pictures of him throwing fastballs where, he did look strained, but he wasn't going out there and throwing a fastball as hard as he could every freaking pitch. And these dudes are throwing as hard as they can every single pitch. And it riddled Maddox. I'm a huge Maddox fan, and he made it look easy. But he didn't throw hard either. He was all about control and accuracy. And those pitchers aren't around. Although my cubby, I can't even say his last name. I always thought, dude, that name does not come it just does not come out of my mouth, man. Dude, he throws 91, 92, lots of dropping action, and he's been incredible for the Cubs through, I think, 5 starts now. But
I think I know the guy you're talking about. I can't remember his name either.
I can't even say it, dude. It's funny. I'm a Cubs fan. Can't even say it.
The Cubs were on a roll lately. They were breathing down the Brewers' neck.
They've been playing great ball. However, when you're a big market team and you're cheap in the offseason, you get what you deserve. The Cubs didn't go sign bullpen help, really. And that's where they've been losing games. And shame on them. That's an easy fix. It is what it is. But they've been good, especially with some of the injuries. When guys come back, man, I'm really excited about them. That was a good Brewers-Cubs game today. I listened to that on the radio on the way home. It's a good game. And again, we talked about this last year. Small ball is back. Today, the Brewers won on small ball. Got it. Churio got on base, stole base hit, scored them, and tied the game. And that's it. It used to be you'd have to wait for a home run for anybody to score.
Yeah. No, I think, and that's a great segue to another topic when it comes to ball players and speculating on ball players and not appreciating small ball or appreciating the actual art of the game. And somebody, I think it was Mike, mentioned about having a pretty big stake in Acuna and hoping that he doesn't become another Trout or even like a Wander situation. God forbid that happens again. And I think it's really interesting to think that so much of the interest from people that speculate on players are just speculating on guys that either have flashy home runs or that the media talks about all the time and are in big markets, because guys like Jackson Chourio, Pete Crow Armstrong, I don't know where he's at in home runs, but these guys are just good ball players, and the history books will write them as probably really good ball players by the time they're done. And then people will care about them. But between then and now, unless they hit 40 or 50 home runs in a season, nobody's going to care.
Yep. It's crazy. The hobby is so whacked. It's crazy that some of these new dudes who are coming out and, 2022 product, 23, and now 24 outsell some of the all-time greats. It doesn't make sense. It's the new flashy thing that gets on TV, and it's good to see some of these guys playing, but I can't believe we're 30 minutes in and we haven't talked about the Topps Industry Conference, because there was a lot of cool stuff that came out of there. It was down in Atlanta. They
Yep.
made that very exclusive this year. There were not many invites, and I believe you could only bring one person with you this year, and they were very strict about that. And why don't you lead off? Pick your favorite thing from the industry conference that you heard or saw.
I don't know. Probably nothing really. I'm trying not to be overhyped about Topps Chrome basketball. I really want to be hyped about Chrome basketball, the actual logoed edition, because I've wanted that product for a while. But I'm not that thrilled that I'm thrilled that it's getting closer to that day. But I'm not going to be overly hyped to go open unlicensed basketball. No, I don't think most people need to get, I don't want to say duped into that, but the autos of really good players, they're going to be hard to hit. Be really hard to hit. I mean, you want to go buy cheap breaks or something like that, go right ahead. Ziggy No is a big break advocate when it comes to that. I wouldn't go buy boxes of that because unless the checklist is loaded, I don't know. I don't even know what the price point is going to be either. If it comes out at $500 a box, that sets a really bad precedent for the logoed version. If the unlogoed or the non-licensed version that they come out with this year is similar to like a Bowman Chrome University, where you get one autograph and it's $150 or $200 a box. Fair enough. Not great. Maybe you have a jumbo format. Maybe you have some retail. I hope the price is right. I think that's the biggest concern I have, is that the thing will get pumped up so much by the people saying how great it's going to be and how you need to be in on it. And then the next thing you know, you're going to pay the same as you do for a Prism basketball and you're buying an unlicensed product. And I just don't think that sets a good precedent for what Fanatics said they want to have for the market going forward, which is fair prices and do what's right for the consumer. That's my opinion.
Yeah, they're going to squeeze every penny they can, like everything else, which sucks. But I will say, for unlicensed, the images that I saw, the cards look nice. Like, I just think Panini all these years has dropped the ball. I know it's hard to do without, because we all like, let's face it, we all like the logos of the sports teams. That's what really makes the cards, But I will say they did a nice job on the ones that I saw. I'm like, because you're at first glance, it doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look generic, unlicensed, but I'm excited for Topps Chrome basketball and football products. And I don't know if it's 25 or 26 where they can start when the logo change over. I didn't even look that up. That's what I get for sleeping on the couch.
They're going to start the basketball version of the licensed version in 2025, the fall of 2025. So you're going to get it for next year's rookie class, not this year. And then you're going to have the football one come out in the spring of 2026. It's going to come out near the end of the season. So I want to say spring, but it's really probably around the Super Bowl. And they're going to be strategically releasing this. They don't need to release this. They're going to release the basketball product right before the season. They're going to release the football product right during the Super Bowl, probably.
Dude,
time it appropriately.
When they're releasing this football product, which I think this football product is a neat concept. It's kind of like a Chronicles type product with a bunch of different. You said that was going to be called composite.
I think it's composite. Yeah.
They're releasing that one for the National, I believe. And
for the National? Okay.
Dude, they're going to sell so much of that stuff in the National.
Well, the other thing is, will they have the silver packs at the National that you can get the basketball and the football product, like you go through the line over and over again to get those products with the wax redemption boxes? I don't know. Maybe they'll have that too. Heck, they had Formula One this year.
John, you know how crazy last year was with those National packs. This year, there are some amazing rookies right now that are going to be in those products for all sports, football, baseball, and basketball. those products are going to, the National this year for the hype around these two products, plus Topps Chrome Baseball, I guarantee it comes out, plus the rookies in those silver packs. That alone, I think, would be worth going to the National. But we'll see. Another thing, somebody mentioned this in the chat, which is interesting, is the redemptions. They're going back to 10 years. And then you get like a redemption like this that came out of 2021 that you pull in a blaster box. So if you didn't know, redemptions, they're going to give them a 10-year lifespan, which is pretty cool. You know?
Well, when they said that they've reduced the actual number of redemptions that they need to fulfill from 70,000 outstanding, I think maybe, or as a per year or whatever, to down to like 10,000. Well, they can afford to have 10 years worth of inventory on hand because they're not having 50,000 redemptions a year where it's just going to pile up and make it impossible to keep having the retail, or the, not retail, but the warehouse space to house all this. Because I'm sure they got to insure it and everything like that. And that's just a lot to facilitate. I'm surprised they didn't do this sooner, but good on them for doing it. If you're a sealed wax holder of anything from the last couple of years, you've got to be loving this right now, because you can sit back and relax knowing that you don't either have to sell it or rip it and hold actual value, hopefully, a little bit more than you have been to this point over the last couple of years going forward, because 10 years is a long time. For 2021 product, that's another 7 years that you have in front of you before those redemptions expire.
Yeah, it is good insurance, because, man, there is nothing. The breaker's got to be feeling better too, because you open some older products and next thing you know, you're dealing with a stupid redemption that is expired. And you're like, well, pulled an awesome hit. It would have been interesting, and I'm not into this stuff, but if you could have got on eBay and found some expired redemptions that were sitting out there and purchased them last minute before anybody knew, you know what I mean?
Especially if they were good, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to go purchase the Jake Arrieta redemption
No.
for his 10th year card that he never autographed or whatever, and now he's out of the league, or I don't know what he's doing now. But I think I remember you talking about that one at one point.
Yep. You know where Jake Arrieta is?
Where is he playing now?
He's down in Texas, in Austin. He's not playing. He coaches his son. So my buddy lives in Austin. He coaches his sons. He has seen Jake Arrieta and his son. And then, oh my God, I forgot his name. He pitched for John Lackey. John Lackey is,
yeah.
His son plays in that league too. So my friend sees these guys and they're coaching on the opposite teams because their sons play. It's pretty funny, man. But anyway, they're both in Austin.
That's cool. One thing we didn't touch on when we talk about redemptions and we talk about players and values, if you look at we were talking about this ahead of time, the top 10 right now in batting average in the league, there's a few surprising names on that list. I know we're only a month into the season, but there's two guys on there that I want to talk about, Alec Bohm and William Contreras. They both have the same thing in common. They were part of the 2021 product of Topps Chrome and Topps Series 1 and Topps Series 2 from 2021. The absolutely hated product that nobody wanted because they said it sucked. And now finally, some of these guys are starting to play pretty well. Whether it holds or not, we already had Andres Jimenez have a couple of good years. Brian Hayes won a Gold Glove last year, took down the Nolan Arenado stranglehold at third base. He needs to hit better, but obviously that can happen. You got a few guys on there that are actually starting to play pretty well, given that they're in their third or fourth year now. And my question would be, does the market as a whole, does the sports card market absolutely do even the fans of that team give a crap about buying any of those cards?
I don't.
You could probably get an Alec Boehm. I looked it up. You can get an Alec Boehm SP right now, short print from Flagship on eBay for $3.
Yeah, dude, that might be worth going and buying some, man.
I'd just buy them all if they were $3.
Yeah.
And have like 100 of them.
And the list, I was looking at the war today when I was on one of my breaks. And, you know, we talked about the last episode we did 2 weeks ago, Mookie Betts, Bobby Witt, Juan Soto. We brought up Elliot De Cruz, but I mean, Mookie's leading the league already at 3.2 WAR. He's a guy that I still think is undervalued, which is crazy. But Riley Green, he's having a heck of a start to the season. And there was 2023 Chrome. He pulled a lot of his stuff. And then Elliot De Cruz, here he is in 2024. Chrome isn't out. He's off to a nice. And then, man, Gunnar Henderson just hitting nuke after nuke, already at 10 bombs. And let's face it, if I was going to put my money into anybody of opening stuff, Gunnar, they're going to be in the playoffs. That team is loaded. He's going to get opportunities to play for, I mean, the shelf life right now opened up last year. He might have another 3, 4, 5 years that these guys are in the playoffs and have a legit shot at World Series. And he is so good, man.
Yeah. No, I wish I wouldn't have sold all my Gunnar Henderson. I did. I do have some of it, but there was a lot of it that I graded and sold for a pretty decent amount. I was happy to get the sale I did. But the other guy that you didn't mention, CJ Abrams.
Yeah.
Another guy from 2022 update that everybody didn't care about because it was all about Julio and Bobby. CJ Abrams has 7 bombs. He's probably the best player right now on Washington. I don't know if I'm going out on a limb there or not, but again, at some point, if these guys start making all-star games, start making playoff runs, is the market going to go and care about any of those guys, even though they weren't hyped from the very beginning? And that's the thing with the industry in general, is people are just trained. If you're not an analyst, you're just trained to go wherever the hot thing is. So now that you had 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round, everybody's going to go at the 6 quarterbacks, and then they're going to forget about other stuff. And so I never play by that rule. I'd be selling the quarterbacks. I'm not really sure where all those quarterbacks went. I know Caleb Williams went to your Bears. I got to chuckle. I don't know that that's going to work out. I have a sneaky suspicion they're going to regret that in like 3 to 5 years.
Dude, it's the Bears. I'm assuming he's going to suck. And
I'm assuming he's going to be a bust.
In 4 years, he's going to be playing for Pittsburgh. I mean, he's going to suck. And if he's great, so be it.
If he's great, he'll be the first Bear quarterback ever to be great.
Speaking of football, man, yeah, we haven't done a show since the draft. We did it one right before. And, man, football product when it comes out with 6 quarterbacks in the first round and some really good wide receivers, the football dudes are going to be going nuts.
Yeah, I'd be a seller of those products. I would not be buying those products.
No.
Not to open. I mean, unless you want to open it and grade the cards, but I just think if we learned anything from 2021 when they had 5 rookies in the first round for quarterbacks and everybody said these guys can't miss, and where are they now? Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence.
Dude,
I'm forgetting somebody. Davis Mills.
It
was rough. Trey Lance. Yeah, I couldn't forget about Trey Lance. That was rough. That was really rough. It could happen again.
Dude, it's going to happen again.
It could happen again. It might be a 2021 draft class all over again, but it could happen again like 2020. Or did I say 2021? It could be the Burrow, Herbert, Love class. It could be that again. But it could also be 2021 and be a total bust.
Yeah. It's just it's wild, man. Football is crazy. It's you never know what's gonna happen. I had something on my mind about football, and it just brain farted out of me. Just cannot remember what I was gonna say.
No, it'll come back to you.
It will. I just it was something with I just cannot remember. I'm kind of bummed that I forgot it because I thought it was pretty good.
Well, I'll move on to a topic I want to talk about, and then we'll move back to that topic. But if you think of it, NBA playoffs, K Cards asked about the Pacers and the Knicks coming up. I was disappointed that the Bucks got eliminated, but I wasn't surprised because Giannis didn't play in that entire series. That team was a train wreck down the stretch. They did play 2 really good games in that series. I don't think the Pacers are that good. I talked to my friends at work that go to a lot of games. This Pacers team has had a hard time playing defense the whole season. I think they're going to get rolled by the Knicks. I am excited to see what happens here with the Knicks. I think it's a classic Knicks-Pacers series. It brings back memories of the Reggie Miller times and the Roy Hibbert times, and it was really exciting to talk about that on the radio today. And I heard them talking about the nostalgia of Knicks Pacers. That's like a May staple for many, many years. And it hasn't happened in like 10 years. And it was pretty fun to see that that's going to be coming up along with the regular month of May here in Indiana. So we'll see what happens. As far as the rest of the playoffs, in the West, it pretty much went to form. We have one series outstanding. It's the Mavericks and the Clippers. But everything else pretty much went to chalk. It was the Nuggets, the T-Wolves, the Thunder, and they all rolled the teams they were playing. And it wasn't even close. And in the East, same thing. Celtics rolled. Knicks rolled. Cavs struggling. And then you got the Bucks, obviously, that got ousted by the Pacers. But if they would have had Giannis, maybe that was a different story. And I've got a bunch of Halliburton cards. I sold a lot this year. I'm going to be selling a lot of anything I have for some of these rookies that are playing right now, whether it be Halliburton, Ant-Man, Jamal Murray. I've got some Jamal Murray. I don't really have any SGA, but for whoever I do have, if they win a game or two, I'm going to be selling because I think you could sell and regret it, and sure, they win the championship, and the next thing you know, they become the next Steph Curry. I don't think that's going to happen with Tyrese Halliburton. I think he's good, but I don't know. He had a couple really bad games in this series, and that doesn't give me a ton of confidence. I know he gets a lot of hype because of the trade, and the NBA loves him for that. But I personally, I'll go back to what I started with. I think the Pacers are going to get rolled by the Knicks. I do.
Yeah. While we're on basketball, has Blez Sports Cards cracked the code for pulling 101 Nebulas? Is it just coincidence that they're all of a sudden pulling these, or are they doing the old backyard breaks and finding some code? Does somebody, you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden they pull the Ant-Man 101 Nebula, the LaMelo 101 Nebula within a couple days.
Yeah, so I saw a couple people went through the choice boxes. Didn't have the most abundant print run. It's not like you had 50 million, hundreds of thousands of boxes. I think I saw Professor Sports Cards did a pretty good video on this, and he estimated that there were probably about 2,000 total cases of that product when it existed back years ago. A lot of it got ripped throughout the first part of Ant and LaMelo Ball's career. And then they kept acquiring more and more and more of it. While they did pull that card and while they did pull multiples of the Nebula, I'm a probability guy. If I would have told you it was a 1 in 1,000 chance to pull all 3 of those cards, That sounds like pretty good odds, actually. That's not impossible. If it was 1 in a million, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it was only 1 in 1,000. And that to me seemed much more reasonable to think that if somebody acquired that many of the total print run, and that's what they were breaking, well, it's possible that that could have happened. But will it happen in every product? Well, then that's the impossible part. That's the part that nobody believes, is that you keep doing the same thing over and over again, no matter what product it is. And then you have this loaded boxes argument to be had. But for 1 in 1,000 chance to pull 3 of those all at the same time, it's not totally believable, but not impossible.
Yeah, they were buying up product like crazy, and they've been opening it, and they got the means to do so with the people paying in the breaks to go. But wow, what a run for them. And again, you just randomly see this stuff popping up on social media like, holy crap, that Ant-Man card is a monster. A monster.
Yeah.
It's, wow.
Well, the way I look at it is, breakers in general they've got deep pockets. We talk a lot about repacks on some podcasts, and I think even breakers get into repacks. The amount of cash flow that they get from the profit, if they can keep reinvesting that, the velocity of them acquiring that much product of a thing that they know is pretty good, it's not impossible to believe. It's disheartening to the rest of us. But I would say if I were a consumer, would it entice me to go buy into Blez breaks? No, probably not. I don't think so. Would I watch it on YouTube? Maybe. I did watch a little bit of their stuff during the early part of the pandemic, and they were one that I would tune into from time to time, just because the guy was going crazy over Justin Herbert autos, and I thought that was rather funny to watch. But I want to circle back along those lines. You asked about the Topps conference, and you asked me what I liked, and I said nothing. I kind of mean nothing because the industry, to me, we talk a lot about our local card shop owner, Andy. I went into there today and had to sell a card, and he didn't know that, but sold a card. I did business in his store, so hopefully he didn't get mad at me about that. I went and met another guy to sell a card to him there, and I did it inside Andy's shop. But anyway, Andy has owned a card shop since the early 2010 timeframe. He bought it right before Andrew Luck became a quarterback for the Colts. And his price point at that point was only like 10 grand. He tells the story. Go watch it on Jeremy Lee's podcast. He tells the story of how he acquired the shop. 10 grand, right? And that's nothing. And then you see people like Jeff Wilson do Cards HQ and spends $3 million on a new card shop. And then you see the breakers and the ones like the Laytons and the Blaz, and they have such a legacy that they already exist. And there can be hustlers that can enter this industry, but this industry seems like it's materializing into a very, very small club of people that are doing really well. And they're going to continue to do really well because they're already in the series, so to speak. And then it'll be great for them. But then the new entrants, it'll be so hard to enter this space. It'll be so disheartening that people will just get frustrated and walk away. Unless you have a big, big capital that you can front up. Because you're not going to buy a card shop for 10 grand anymore. Those days are gone.
Dude,
and
no way.
And so Andy got in at the right time. Andy took a risk and then quit his day job. I mean, I give him a lot of credit. And he lives right down the street from me. And I will never go to a Topps industry conference. I don't really care. But I don't really want to hear how great it's going to be for the hobby when it's great for the industry. It's great for the people that are in the business of selling stuff, not the people that are buying it. And that's the way I look at it. And so that's why I said leading off, what am I excited about? Nothing.
Yeah, I'm excited about some. I think they're coming up with some nice ideas. Um, Fanatics is kind of reaching them out and they're changing things a lot. But I said that I would have to go back and find the clip when they first bought Tops. I had a feeling right away that prices were going to go up and up and up, and they continue to. You would think in this economy and with this that stuff would come down, and prices of wax are not coming down.
No, they're not.
It's not going to any. I don't think it's going to come down. Well, the wax will come down the year after it comes out, and that's the problem. When you're, again, it depends on what you're, how much you open. You know, if you're buying one box, it's like, okay, whatever, I'll spend up. But like, I've always opened. I love opening bulk, and then I try to nickel and dime and put sets together. And if you're into like Topps flagship, for example, it's a cheap product, and those inserts are more relevant and worth more when it first comes out. So if you're opening them a year later, those inserts are harder to move. The set collectors aren't looking. It's that whole dynamic, but it is pretty crazy. You're right. You're not opening a hobby shop anymore and getting into Fanatics Club. I asked Jim and Steve's a few years ago. I said, because he's getting to the point where he's going to retire and he's probably going to hand it off to his kid. But I asked him before because the kids didn't seem interested. One of his boys, I think he's working there full time now. His other boy went to a different industry. And I said, how much you sell for? He's like, my building's worth $400K. And then the inventory, and he's like, the licenses for the product is what is really worth. But he wouldn't give me a number. But I mean, that number to buy a shop's probably 2 million plus.
Oh yeah. The barrier to entry right now is really high. Yeah, and it's only getting higher. And I'm not saying you can't do it, but stories like Andy's to come along from nothing to something, nah, it ain't gonna happen anymore. It really won't.
No.
Those days are gone. And I'm sure he would probably tell you that. And I'm sure he'll tell you his Andrew Luck story about how he lost like 50 grand on Andrew Luck when Andrew Luck decided to retire.
Yeah.
Because he holds a lot of product of local players. You know, I went in there today and he's got a ton of Caitlin Clark products.
Oh, yeah.
The whole case was like Caitlin Clark. He used to have a lot of Halliburton. That's all been sold. So
he's been buying heavy.
He's been buying heavy on Caitlin Clark.
You want to hear another one of my frustrations for the hobby? So I wake up this morning to a link to Optic Football on Target.com.
Yep.
Optic Football is going to be a hot product this year. And why Target would release that at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody, like all the botters, they knew the link.
Yeah.
And that product sold out overnight. I guarantee you over 70% of that product went to the guys who ran the bots.
Yeah. Well, see, the way I look at this is people that bought the product, when Target would release in the morning and used to have like Schultz's card pulls or Vikings 95 or whomever was doing the live stream in the morning talking about potential Target drops, and you used to tune into that and hope you got your 3 boxes or your 5, whatever you got. And when they started releasing bad products, nobody wanted it. And so then they just started throwing caution to the wind. And they're like, we're not going to control this anymore because nothing sells out. So we'll just do this with all the products, and we won't make the truly hot products harder to buy, right? And that did happen. And people in my area, you still go. I don't go out card hunting really anymore at all. I used to. I haven't done it in probably a year. But I bet I go to a Meijer right now and it would still be wrecked. It would still be wrecked. There'd be nothing on the shelves because people still buy like crazy. And the moment it hits the shelves, they're buying it for their breaks, for their flips, for whatever. And so if you want to get any of it, good luck. And it just gets frustrating. And I think Target did the same thing with Optic Football. And they did it a couple of months ago with Prism Mega Boxes for basketball. And I would like to see them do more for the consumer. Fanatics, for as much as I want to hate them, they do a good job of releasing products in a controlled fashion that give most people a chance to buy at least a couple boxes. And Target, because so much was sitting on the shelves in some markets, and I'm not going to say mine, but in some markets, they just didn't care anymore. And they're like, put it up on the website, whatever happens, happens. And
Yeah,
it's
it is
frustrating.
weird. It's weird you say that because Target, they really don't like flippers. They don't like resellers. And here's why I say that. I know a local guy who does a lot of resale business. He does the old arbitrage on all retail, not just sports cards, anything that's hot. And they caught on to him doing this, and they banned him from the store. They wouldn't allow him to buy. I mean, his name was on a list, and if they would see him, they would kick him out. So he was having to pay people to go in there and pick stuff up. But it is weird that they would do that. And I agree, man. Fanatics, I love the way they do their online drops. You go put your name in, your email, and then you get an email later. It gets charged. And sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. You at least feel like a fair shot. I woke up this morning and said, I would have bought some blaster boxes about football to open. It's a great product.
I would have bought a couple of them just to have them.
And it's sold out.
And yeah, I didn't see the link until later in the day, and then somebody sent it to me, and I was like, well, that's great. Like, they're impossible to get now. And
it's gone.
It sucks. It really sucks that we still see that from time to time, but I don't have a fear of missing out. I don't
No.
I mean, the products aren't going to go to the stratosphere. You go back to last year, it had CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, and everybody else kind of sucked. Bryce Young wasn't that great.
No.
And a lot of the other quarterbacks didn't play. And so you had Jahmyr Gibbs, whatever you want to call him, and another running back, the name escapes me right now. And they were good, but they're not super good, where I think you have to have a fear of missing out on them. So, I don't know. I feel like it is what it is. Somebody else can make the money on it. I'll walk away and play a different hand.
Yeah. The last thing we're right at an hour.
Oh, Bijan Robinson. That's right.
The last thing that I have on my list is the fake Wemby cards, and I believe they came out of Canada. Prism rookie. If you're going to first of all, if you're going to counterfeit cards, why would you counterfeit base Prism rookie cards of Wemby?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know too much about that story. I know I heard about it, and obviously I looked at the cards that they said were fake. There's not a whole lot of discernible difference on the front of the card between the real one and the fake one. I was looking at dots. I was looking at everything, and the font size, and they did a pretty good job on the fake. But it does make you wonder, though, when you're buying stuff on eBay, like, can you trust the seller? That even if, like, do they even know if it's real? I mean, I sell everything if I get it out of a box. I don't ever get it from any other means. I don't go to card shows and buy stuff. So anything you get on my eBay page, you're getting it straight out of a box I ripped, or a card I got graded by PSA. So you can trust it, but I can't speak that for everybody.
Nope.
And even if you went to a card show, would I trust it? Right? I don't know. I didn't go to a card show lately. I probably I don't know when the next time I'll go to a card show. I got the Midwest Monster coming up here. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Some things just disappoint you, right?
Dude, there's so much sports stuff counterfeited. It's a crazy game out there, and of all the things you'd think with the counterfeit, you're like, why would they?
Why would you do it with the base card though?
Yeah, why wouldn't you come up with like
Why wouldn't you come up
parallel?
with the parallel, right? The purple ice or whatever.
Yes,
That's
just
worth a ton more than the base card. The base card's only $50 anyway, or whatever it is, and so you're gonna. I don't know. Why wouldn't you do something different? But anyway,
it's crazy. You know, somebody replied earlier. I forgot who it was about. I wish you guys would do box battles again. I wish we would too, but there's two parts to that. One, it's the price, and two, it's the product. And right now, I know I don't want to box battle you with some Series 1 hangers because they don't make sense, right? Now, if you had a Bowman Blaster and I had a Bowman Blaster, I would do that right now. You know,
Sure.
I'd do that tonight. But we're not going out of our way to buy products that are just average and don't have any hits. Like, there are going to be Bowman Blaster boxes now that don't have hits in them.
right.
You know? Like, that used to not be the case.
Well,
Every Bowman Blaster used to have a numbered card in it, at least.
We don't have the checklist for Series 2 yet. We know they're going to probably make less of it. We don't have the checklist for Chrome yet. We know that's probably going to be loaded. And we'll eventually have update this year. And hopefully we have, even though he played dreadful in his debut, we didn't even talk about Jackson Holiday getting sent back down to the minors. But he was the hottest thing going for a while. Wyatt Langford, another one, didn't end up in Series 1. He'll end up in one of the products this year, as will Chorio. Maybe we'll do box battles then, but right now I just don't think there's anything worth buying unless you, like you said, Bowman. But it takes two to tango. I wasn't going to buy any. You were. Yeah. Unless you're going to buy my boxes for me and then have me send them back to you so we can have a fake box battle, I'm not going to buy
it. That's probably the biggest story that I want to see this year that I really am looking forward to is when the National comes and Topps Chrome Baseball comes out, I'm looking forward to that checklist to see who is in it and who is not and what the price points are. I still like the blaster box of that product for the MVP buyback. But and then the rookies that aren't in Chrome, they're going to be in Chrome Update. And man, this year, 2023 is looking really good. Like, really good. 24 is looking awesome. There's a lot of names. In the behind the scenes, I don't get excited about pitchers, but here's a couple Japanese pitchers that are doing pretty well, and they have a lot of buyers behind them. Like, we've talked about the Japanese market, and those are pitchers. And I would love to pull, autographs to those guys, because they do actually have some value. But I don't know, man. It's been another fun week. You got any parting shots?
There were a few topics I wanted to touch on, but we can save them for next time. I would just say, to wrap up, if you're a sports fan, enjoy sports. It's a good time of the year to watch sports. We've got the MLB in its second month of the season. We've got the NBA playoffs going on. We've got the Stanley Cup playoffs going on. We've got the Indy 500 this month. I got to toot my own horn on that. We got the WNBA starting for all you Caitlin Clark lovers out there. And that's a good thing to be a sports fan. And if you want to have some skin in the game and you want to collect your favorite player, by all means, go do that. Don't ever break the bank on that. And, I think for me, it was humbling this year. I'm a huge, huge, huge De'Aaron Fox fan, and I wanted them to make the playoffs in the absolute worst way. They didn't make it this year, but am I going to stop buying De'Aaron Fox cards? Because he's still my favorite player, even if I don't think they're ever going to get to a stratospheric level of value again. I'm still going to be buying De'Aaron Fox cards. Whatever happens, I'll have a certain amount on my PC forever that will be De'Aaron Fox. Because I think he's going to go down as one of the best kings of all time. And I think he's going to play the entire career for Sacramento. And I hope for a guy that's that good that he makes at least one playoff in his career, unlike Mike Trout, who may never make a playoff in his career.
Oh, man.
And that is my last parting shot.
His parting shot. I think the Kentucky Derby's this weekend, too.
It is.
Dude, there's a lot going on this month. It's awesome.
May is my favorite month of the year.
Pretty darn good, man. Leaves are coming out. It's getting warmer. Another good show. And, last thing. I tell you what, if you don't have the home run report on your phone, on Twitter, I have been just seeing while this show's been going on, there's just been home run after home run after home run popping up on Home Run Report on Twitter. It's I love that app, or not the app, but the Twitter account. But man, thanks everybody for tuning in. We got a lot of people in here, 50 plus tonight. Thanks for the chat. Glad you guys can enjoy if you're watching after the show. Make sure you hit that chat. Hit up ERB Sports.
Or not.
We're looking forward.
I want to make it 3 months in a row with no subscribers new. I think that would be a good goal to have. So
until next week or the week after. Peace.